this parajumble question here, which was of the kind in which you had to bring out the sequence and also find out which one was the odd one out of the four options. Now, this question deals with Mark Bloomberg, who's a neuroscientist at the University of Iowa, and his statements about aberrant forms, about freaks, and he's written this book called Freaks of Nature, and he's making some statements about it. Now, when you start to read the sentences, you have in A, you have this keyword which is he added. That's what it says here in the beginning of A. I can mark that particular part for you. It's right here. He added. This is one key word here, or key phrase, I should say. Then in C, it's as he explained, and then here in B, the keyword is University of Iowa neuroscientist Mark Bloomberg, who's the author of the book Freaks of Nature. Also, another main word, keyword in B was the word aberrant, which means something which is unusual or abnormal. Now, once you start to read B, we know that A cannot precede B or come before B because it is an addition. And if you connect C and A, it'll obviously be that he explained something, a certain statement, let's say first, and then he added on to it, then the addition. So let's assume that we are starting with B, because B is the first statement that talks about aberrant forms and how such aberrant forms or strange things in nature, strange forms in nature are not, as he says, just because of one thing, but it's because of a mixture of factors. Then that's what Mark Bloomberg says. Then in C, he explains the reason behind these aberrant forms, or how it's not just one reason but a lot of factors which might influence aberrant forms or in animals or in other things. And now he says, as he explained it, many of the normal features that we see in animals, think elephant trunks. So now you have an example of such aberrant forms in C. So we know that B and C have to necessarily be a mandatory pair. Now also I explained earlier that the next in line should be he added, and that should certainly be, that A should certainly be after C, because C is the reason behind B, and then A it is an addition to that overall reason in C. So when A says he added, so we know for certain that the sequence has now to be B, C, and then A. Now, why is D the odd one out here? D is our answer, option D. Because when you read it, see, let's read that part. It says, though less bizarre looking than some, one of the more important freaks emerged in early 1900s before the field of molecular biology even existed, the white-eyed Drosophila fly. Now, this is a far-fetched example, and once you go through the scope of the entire, the other three sentences, it is obvious that this would probably follow a little later in the explanation, or later in this sequence, because it talks of this different example, which is the white-eyed Drosophila fly, and more so that this statement is clearly linked to the rest of the book, or maybe the latter part of the book, perhaps the book which is mentioned here, Freaks of Nature, rather than connecting to the immediate sequence, which is in immediate correlation to Mark Bloomberg's statements. So what we're doing in B, then C, and then in A is that we're explaining Mark Bloomberg's statements. D is one which goes out of line of that, and that is why it does not fit the sequence. An answer for this question has to be option D.